It's not that this one is rare, right? Although the exact number of bottlings available, I'm not really that sure. This is just hard to get, basically. Unless you're traveling through an airport, you'll find it impossible to get your hands on. I guess that's why they would call it an airport travel retail exclusive. But the Chaser's got the connects and the hookups, and it's here. Let's get settled in and let's drink some whiskey. Yes. Welcome to Whiskey and Whiskey. I'm the Whiskey Chaser Brian here in Christy's bar, Kilkenny. Hope you're keeping well. So I was searching through some of the videos that I've done recently and I realized the original version of this, I never did. I can't believe I've went this long without doing one of my all-time favorite blended whiskeys. What the hell is wrong with me? So this is a small bit of a different take on the original Black Bush. I got all the info en route for you in a moment. But this is the Bushmills Black Bush 80/20 PX Cask Reserve. So who doesn't like a little bit of Bush? Black Bush, that is. In all seriousness, Bushmills just do really great whiskeys. Brown nosing alert here. Really great single malts. So juicy, so delicious, so moresome. They do a great blend too, like the Black Bush here, which is, you know, an outstanding quality blend, in all honesty. And like, I'm not the biggest fan of the original Bushmills, or the Red Bush even, like, to be completely honest with you, but it's not that they're bad, it's just that I prefer this one when you compare them all. I've done the Bushmills info so many times before, I'm not going to do it here again. Think oldest distillery in Ireland, still in operation, distilling license going back as far as 1608 on the Providence, or the Townsland, and distillery itself being built in 1784. Lots of fires and stuff in between. Up until recently, I've considered Bushmills to be what I would like to call the sleeping giant of Irish whiskey. I mean, sure, they've had some releases spotted here and there, airport exclusives, distillery exclusives, society bottlings, but the main releases were a bit slow to come about, hence the sleeping giant. Up until recently, when the Causeway collection exploded onto markets worldwide, whiskey collectors fainted. People panicked on putting an entire collection together, while I sat here in Christy's bar and opened some of those releases and drank them, which brought a whole new meaning to the phrase, pleasuring oneself. In short, and not to kiss ass, they were nothing but delicious, to be honest. Bushmills just do single malt so good. Really great whiskeys. Enter Black Bush, and in particular, this release. So the original Black Bush is a blend of 80% malt to 20% grain. I'm told through the word of mouth the grain is sourced from Middleton Distillery. Nobody will confirm nor deny that to me. I do hope that's true. The original uses first fill, refill, and sherry casks for the malt, where the 80/20 here uses all those except the sherry cask. The Oloroso is PX and not Oloroso like the original. This is a non-age statement whiskey, but I'm told there are malt whiskeys up to 8 years of age used here. Sadly, and this rots me a little bit, it's only 40% ABV. It does come in 1 litre bottles though, and priced at around 50 euros, I believe. That's when you're traveling within Europe. It could be 55, but the original is around the 30 euro mark, the one without the PX, which is kind of a big difference, but take into account the bottle sizes, exclusives, retail stuff here. Now, I did have this bottling in my last tasting here at Christie's, and I'll let you know everyone's opinion at the end when I'm finished. It might surprise you. Hang tight, and let's get it into the glass. And we pour this dirty PX sherry richness goodness. Healthy drop. So while we let that breathe, the quick rundown: 40% ABV blended whiskey using 80% malt, 20% grain whiskeys, the malt being finished in first fill, refill, and then PX sherry casks, as opposed to Oloroso like the original. 50 euro-ish and exclusive to travel retail. I should mention it is cheaper, much cheaper in the UK, and when you're flying out to the States from Dublin, I think it's around the 37, 38 euro mark, something crazy like that. We pay 50 in Europe. I've given this a little chance to breathe now. Let's go through the notes. Nothing short of divine. The nose is really, really great, right? So apple skin, think pears stands out. That's the malt side of it, not getting much of the grain kind of coming through there at all. Very slight hint of the PX coming through in terms of almonds for me. And it's adding to the apples and apple skin and pears with a kind of like a cherry note as well. The nose is gorgeous. I don't have a Black Bush regular to compare it to, even though that would be nice. There's probably one behind the bar, but for the sake of time and keeping your attention. The nuttiness is very slight there. There's a small bit of honey syrup as well at the kind of finishing off towards, so not overly spicy either. People will like that. Yeah, that cherry kind of coming through at the end with a little bit of grape skin as well. Like I said, not overly spicy. The PX is somewhat subtle. It's not in your face PX. Some people have holdups about PX and think it's too sweet. It is adding an element of sweetness here, but think subtle. Think enhancing to an extent, not overpowering. There you go. On the palate, let's go, sláinte. Lovely. White pepper spice. A little bit of stewed fruits and the nuttiness coming through. Maybe that's what I was kind of nosing before. Stewed fruits, kind of an amalgamation of fruits and kind of that sweetness coming through. Nuttiness is a little bit more apparent on the palate than it was on the nose. There's not a whole lot of oak influence there. Your malt notes are really standing out. Your pears, apples, and even the, like I had mentioned on the nose, the grape skin there. One more, sláinte. Okay, second time around. I picked up a little bit of bitterness on the palate, still hanging in there a touch. Not overly obvious. I do think the nose is a little bit nicer than the palate, I will say that. Nose has some complexity. Palate, a little bit of bitterness hanging on there, but not overly spicy. You are getting the malty notes, you know, your apples, apple skin, pears, grape skin, blah, blah, blah. Little bit of nuttiness. On the finish, again, malt note, real apparent. Tobacco forward on the tongue. Interesting one about that. Quite vibrant. Quite vibrant. Little bit of grain coming through. We'll give it one more, so why not? Touch of grain element, that bitterness is still translating in from the palate to the finish as well. A small bit, nothing major. That's me nitpicking. That's me trying to, with my stupid nose and palate, understand what the hell is going on in terms of flavors. Novice, come on. Yeah. Short to medium kind of finish. I'd say short, medium, that little balance there. The tobacco is there. A little bit of grain coming through, the malty notes obviously hanging on, a little bit of pepper spice is still on the sides, and a touch of nuttiness. PX, very subtle, think that. Very subtle, not overwhelming. Did I say subtle? A lovely dram, to be fair, and for the 1 litre bottle, not the worst price either. The introduction of the PX is nice, but to be totally honest, what the hell? I do think I prefer the original. This is a nice take on it. I mean, don't get me wrong, that is a nice take on it, but if you put down the original in front of me, and this is in front of me, I think I would take the original all day long. I think it's the bitterness on the finish and the palate that just sways me, just that little bit. The general consensus on the night of the tasting was the same. Some people really thought this was outstanding, and I will agree with them. It is a great tasting whiskey, and don't get me wrong. You know, if you bought that, you'd be happy cracking that open when you got it home. Bottle size, spot on. Price isn't the worst either. Better value, obviously, if traveling outside the EU, obviously. Full transparency, I did buy this bottle myself, although I will be honest, all thoughts are obviously my own. It's not in the bar. We're not putting it in the bar here because we have something else. I would say, just to give you a hint, if there was a dram I could try, I'd love a Bushmills that was just a little bit more in ABV. Any ideas? who knows? Right, if you tried this, leave your comments below, and don't forget to let me know some of the suggestions of videos you'd like to see me doing. I'll do my best to get to them. We are getting a lot of comments and a lot of interaction from people. Thank you very much on some of the whiskeys. There's lots to come. We just have to kind of buy them and get them here and then drink them and try them so I can give you honest opinions on whether you should buy or walk on by. Or once again, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, especially after this video. We have something else coming out in the next couple of weeks, but I will leave that to another video. Obviously, keep your eye on the social media stuff and all that fun bits and pieces. Yeah, so that's it. Thanks to Christy's again for hosting. Until next week, keep it Irish. Sláinte.